Hi, I'm Simon Rushton and this is Taxi Chronicles podcast. On this podcast, we spontaneously interview unsuspecting passengers with their permission, allowing them to share their intimate life stories and concerns. As our slogan states, real riders, real stories. Some riders prefer to be anonymous, while others ask me to tell their story later on. Either way, there are all genuine 5 to 10 minutes stories, so sit back and enjoy this episode.
Okay, you ready? Morning. Yes, we are back with another episode for another day. We have a lovely lady called Sandra, and for those football lovers, she's working with a prominent football team, Tottenham, and we're just going to find out how what's a typical day like working for an international recognised football team.
It's really good fun actually. Just when you know that you're going into a stadium that's, brand new stadium, probably one of the best ones in the world. Looking forward to going to work. It's really nice just to be a part of that kind of club and what they want to do in the future. It's enjoyable. The staff there are brilliant. The staff are really dedicated to the club and really good fun as well. So yeah, we just can't wait to get events back.
Do you so you get to know the players? You get to talk to them?
No, we don't actually. We're quite they're normally based at the training ground. So we're in the office, whether we're in Lily White House or the stadium or the ticket office. So yeah, we don't actually have much to do with the players.
Mm-hmm. Did you purposely go for like a football position for that football company, as in you thought, I want to work, Tottenham's my team, I'd love to support them any way I can, or was it just like, I need a job?
It wasn't either of those actually. I've been working in my industry for about, just over 20 years now, and I've done a lot of sporting events and concerts and international as well as UK, and I think what I really wanted, what I've not been part of before, is a football club in London. So I actually don't support Spurs.
Okay. Do they know that?
They do know that.
So who do you support?
I don't really support anyone anymore. I used to be quite a big United fan. I used to travel up to Old Trafford and watch matches, but then it just kind of
dwindled.
It's just I only had one ticket. I was only allowed one ticket because I was part of the membership, and it was just a bit kind of sad really going on your own all that way.
Billy no mate.
Exactly. So I just kind of, football's still
you could have sold that ticket though.
I could have, but I'm not. You're not allowed to.
Oh, you're not allowed to?
No, you're not. But I think football's been such a big part of my life that to be involved in it in one way or another, it was always going to happen. And then I started a new job and got into rugby. Mm-hmm. So really enjoyed watching rugby. So now rugby and football for me are kind of 50-50 with watching. So I don't support anyone really at the moment. I'm more about, I'll just watch whoever's on TV. I just enjoy watching all of it. So they're fine with me not being a Tottenham fan. So there's a couple of people in the office who aren't actually Spurs fans. So it's just really good banter in the office and winding people up. So yeah, it's fun. It is fun.
And how well are Spurs, Tottenham Hotspur, doing in the league? Are they doing well? I don't know anything about football.
Are they
in the Premier League still?
They're definitely still in the Premier League, but not being a Spurs fan, I'm not paying too much attention.
I just don't care. Just don't care.
I don't think they've had a great start, but we've had more success in, we drew with a cup match yesterday or day before yesterday.
What is it about rugby that you prefer over football?
I think it's
real men.
I wouldn't say it's real men. I think that they just have more respect for the sport and the referees and the fans, and in rugby you don't have segregation because the fans just love sitting next to each other, and there's no
there's no
no violence, there's no beer throwing, there's no being spat at, which unfortunately I've experienced at a football match. And I don't know, I just find that, you know, they'll listen to the referee, they don't shout back, they don't swear back, the referee's got the utmost respect on that field. And I just think that, you know, you've got the
middle
players,
class and upper class crowd though, isn't it?
I don't even know if it's that, to be honest. I think it's more about education. Like, you've been taught a discipline in a sport. The referee, even when I played netball and hockey, the referee is the most important person that you listen to on that pitch. And I think that, you know, I love football, but I think that what annoys me most is, you know, players when they're diving, and you'll get a rugby player that if they're injured, you know they're injured because they're coming off, like they have to be seriously injured. Whereas with football, they kind of dive, they roll around, they'll get a wet sponge on it, and all of a sudden it's a miraculous recovery. So I think that's what
I mean about a man's sport. Because football, do you know the history of football and rugby?
Not like in detail.
Okay, well, I'll tell you it briefly. Traditionally it was one game. And I think it's down the West Country, like Devon or someplace, they play, the idea is you had a leathered skin ball sewn together, big old ball, and the object was to get the ball from one end of the village to the other. Two rival villages would play in one village's sides, where you get playing away, playing home. And you could get that ball, the game would last all day virtually, because it would just be fighting. People would bite, kick, punch, hit each other, all that kind of thing. And just to get the ball, and the other end, at the end, like there's that battle cry, like that. Now the reason of this is because, and it's from King Henry's time, and I love history, so I know this stuff, is when King Henry, he has a jousting competition, he embarrassed his cousin who was the King of France. So the King of France decided he's going to declare war and come and attack England. So when he would come to invade England through the English Channel, the messages would be sent to say, come, let's, you know, your cousin's coming and we're at war. So as he would march down with his army of 500 men from the Tower of London, he would seconder all the fighting age males from the villages. The problem was the village people weren't hardened. They were like whether fishermen or blacksmiths and things like that. So at the first sign of blood or pain, they'd run away in the battlefield. So he decreed everybody must play football, and every village must play everybody every Sunday. Therefore, where they played the game, obviously it's football, but it's rugby and football combined, people became battle hardened, used to broken bones, used to being hit and from that. So when there was an attack now and he'd come to collect these people, they're all okay. Now as time went on, modern technology, muskets, things like that, you didn't need that battle hardened in sport, so they divided it. The idea was the poor people were meant to play rugby, just in case you need that hardened people. So obviously poor people always sacrifice themselves for rich people. And rich people are meant to play football because it's soft, it's a bit of a pansy sport. Now, the problem was, poor people don't own land and don't own big spaces of green perfectly pitched, so they played football because you could play football anywhere. The rich people own land, they play rugby. Thus, football is a poor man's game played by thugs, and rugby is a poor man's game played by gentlemen. And there you have it.
I had no idea it came from that. It does make so much sense, because they do call rugby the gentleman's game, but I don't know if it is, and that's where it came from. But I'm not sure. It's like, I'm not going to call football players like not gentlemen just because they're not, you know, tough enough to play rugby. But I guess that's where its history come from.
Well, if you think about what it is, the 90s era had was the Metro Man. Metro Man is not a very tough man. It's not like the 70s, you know, hairy chest, big medallion or whatever, that kind of image, or tough guy, big moustache. If you think about some of the football players from the 70s, you know, they're tough guys. Now you just got these pansies.
Isn't that part of like the problem though with kind of, you know, go and have a segue here of going off into mental health though, is that the fact that, you know, some people think that they're not being man enough, and because of history depicts that, you know, if you're not playing rugby you're not a man's man, And isn't that like part of the problem now, is that people still see things like that when in fact it might not be that, you know, they play rugby. It doesn't mean that, you know, they're not, you know, tough enough in other ways. And
I would say this: your sport is your sport of what you like, but when it gets to the point, I saw a video, someone tapped this guy on the back of the head in a football match. I think it's not Ronaldo, one of those Portuguese, and he fell on the ground and goes, oh! That's, yes, you're a man biologically, but you have the traits of, you understand?
He probably has the traits of a cheat though, rather than
but even say, as men, if you're not doing something mannish, it's always depicted that you're the opposite, which is a feminine thing. So
there's nothing wrong with being like feminine thing.
Well, you're speaking as a woman.
Well, why would I see it as like racist derogatory term? There's nothing wrong with being me.
No, I know that. There's nothing wrong with being you because you're born the way you are. Yeah. Now, some people would say that if a man and you're always behaving like the opposite sex, then we're going to associate you with the opposite sex. Because those are the traits of the thing. It's like if you're frustrated about something and you just break down and cry instead of trying to address the problem. I always say like this, and as a podcaster, we have our podcast group, and we're from all over the world, so Far East, America, and all across Europe, and we was having this same debate. And I said, okay, if we was in the jungle and we're just, let's bring whether a plane had crashed with survivors, and you've got one man who's broken down and starts to cry, another man who gets himself together and says, okay, I'm going this way, blah, blah. Which man are you going to follow? Thank you.
I haven't answered it.
You don't have to. You don't have to. Do you see what I mean?
I haven't.
You're going to go with the man who's got himself together. Yeah? But go on answer then.
But what if it's a woman though?
We're talking about men.
Yeah, but
we're not talking about women.
I'm going to throw it back at you, say women.
No, but that's not the basis of the conversation, is it? We're talking about men.
It could be a woman though.
Oh,
okay, I'll put you in the situation.
No,
you've
got to answer my question first. If we're going to start playing that, because if you put me in that situation and a woman's got herself together, I'm saying, okay, that's good, but I'm ex-military, so I'm going to do what I want to do. You can join my team if you want to. Fair enough. Unless you're a navigation expert, let's say you call in fast air and all that kind of thing, then I'll be following you. I'll be on your team because that's your profession. Yeah. Do you understand? It's like,
if that's his profession, that's different because you didn't put profession into it. You basically said someone's crying.
No, but you changing the story, you changing the analogy without even answering the question.
I'm just changing the sex.
You're trying to change it just to make yourself feel.
No, you're changing the sex. Do you know what I would actually do in that situation? And this is where, you know, kind of.
Will you support the man, give him a hug? Don't worry, Billy, it's going to be okay.
Well, probably that, yeah, but make sure that wherever we're going, we're doing it together. Isn't safety in numbers?
Safety in numbers only if people are going to pull their weight. Do you understand?
I wouldn't. Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't leave anyone behind, no, would you? Aren't you?
I'll be like this. No, wait a minute, bear with me. If you're injured, that's different. If you just don't want to do what you're meant to do, when that lion comes, you're the first to get eaten.
If you're injured, you are.
No, if you're injured, I'm going to help you. Because you're part of the team, you're doing what best you can do. If you're just somebody who's not going to pull their own weight, it's like if you're in a rowing boat, like people were shipwrecked in the old days. If somebody just doesn't want to row, but wants their part of the ration, that's not going to work. Would you want to spend your energy to save somebody who just refuses not to, but they're perfectly capable?
No, but I don't.
We're not talking children.
No, we're not. We're talking adults. But I don't think it's as clear cut as that, though.
Why not?
Because I think that's why, you know, people, you know, you talk and stuff, and I just don't think that in that situation it's just as black and white as it sounds.
Survival is black and white. I've been there. I've done there. I've got a t-shirt and a wife fronts. So what my thing is, where I'm getting the message I'm getting from you is like, it's like a nicety kind of, you could even say PC world. But to me, when it comes down to it, from my times in extreme places around the world, you have to pull your weight. You have to be very black and white. I've been in the Arctic when our Zodiac boat has punctured. the boats are built in a very ingenious way where they've got compartments. Now the bow, 2 points of the bow had deflated. We're in the Arctic Ocean. There's killer whales. We're in these suits, but they're not going to keep us very warm for very long if we think. Some people were monging, but the sergeant just did his seaman knots, held that thing, another guy's holding the thing, and I was just bailing any water. Do you understand? Now, if anybody doesn't want to do that and we're sinking, you ain't going to be in the boat for very long because you don't want to pull your weight.
I think that says more about the personality of that person, though, doesn't it? And the characteristics of that person, though, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah, so you're saying the person who doesn't want to help?
Yeah, the person who doesn't want to help, it says a lot about them, really.
Yes, but still they're dead weight and they're going to be detriment to the team. So you give them option. Either you pull your weight, get yourself together, or you're not going to be with us for very long.
Yeah, that's fair enough, you know, stuff like that.
But do you want to answer the other questions, Sandra? All this nice. At the end of the day, and I understand this. Many times I have these kind of discussions, and the ladies look at things from a lady's perspective. They don't look at things from a male perspective. I understand a lady's perspective because it's beautiful. You always have empathy, you're caring, and all those nurturing qualities. But as men, we deal with things on a different scale. And we both complement each other, yin and yang, which makes a perfect team, you know, in that respect. But what I do go against is when ladies tell us how we should think as men. Because why? We're never going to tell you to be more tougher. We're going to accept you for who you are and how you are. Because we know you play a vital part to society as humanity.
But you're allowed to tell another man to man up.
Yes, of course. Makes sense. Alright, think about this. If a lady wasn't doing what she was meant to be doing as a lady, yeah?
What's a lady meant to do?
Alright, I'm thinking, let's say nurturing children.
A lady's meant to do that?
No, if she's got children, her mum, yeah, and she's just not doing what she's meant to be doing as a mum, yeah, then you're going to have an opinion. Even if you don't voice it to her, you're going to have an opinion about, oh, do you understand? Now, she may need help, she may be going through something, all by the by, but still you're going to have an opinion on what you're seeing at that present moment. Do you see what I'm saying? Yeah, and it's just the same way with us. We're going to have an opinion as men on, really, is that what you're doing? It's like if you're going around behind someone's back and talking about them instead of addressing the thing like man to man, say, listen, Bob, I don't like what you did there, and this is why I don't like what you did. And people are going to say, okay. Do you see what I mean?
That I get, but I don't think that example particularly is not about man or woman. If you're talking about anybody behind their back, you need to own it and actually what you say to their face.
I agree with that, but there's traits that are known for, it's like they say, if women ruled the world, there wouldn't be world peace, there'd just be a bunch of countries not talking to each other. You see? But anyway, on that note, we've got 1 minute to the end of our journey. Great interesting conversation with you.
We hope you liked that episode. Keeping in mind, we never know who we're going to interview. We post twice a day, 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. GMT. Have you ever considered the future economies to invest in? Why not listen to our sister podcast, Africa Investor Stories? Considering Africa has the fastest growing economies and population on Earth and has done for many years, it holds 30% of the world's known natural resources. We publish twice a week, Tuesday with a guest investor and Fridays talking about investment, politics and history, providing a clear understanding for any potential investor.